Big story at this point in time. Kiran Mazumdar short jumping to Vijay Mallya's defense, and this a day after the beleaguered liquor baron is claiming a witch hunt by Indian investigative agencies and the media. Let's discuss this with the lady herself, Sriram Iyer, my colleague, also joining in on this. Great to have you with us this afternoon. Ma'am, I would like you to walk us through the kind of defense that you're offering for the tweets that you've posted. You are saying that Kingfisher Airlines was a business failure, that no proof there is so far of money that was diverted for personal pleasure of Vijay Mallya. Would you please explain your stance, ma'am?
Well, I think my point is that, we should not vilify anyone for a genuine business failure. I will definitely never defend a fraud being committed by anyone. But personally, I believe that Kingfisher Airlines was a bad business failure. You can blame Vijay Mallya for bad business judgment. You can blame him for, not being able to call it quits when the chips were down. There were lots of other aspects to the business failure, but it was a business failure. And therefore, I believe that you cannot vilify someone for a business failure unless you have absolute proof.
Ms. Shaw, I apologize for interrupting here. Ms. Shaw, I apologize for interrupting here because you are someone we as the business community looks up to. You are one of the most, foremost entrepreneurs, and that too a woman. With all due respect, here we are talking about the question. The defense that it was a business decision gone wrong is the same that is a defense that Mallya has put forward, which has not cut ice either with the investigators or with the public at large, and more importantly, not with the shareholders, not with the employees who weren't paid on time. The specific charges on Mallya, I concede to you that at this point these are investigations underway, that there is no reason to jump and but having said that, we have to call a spade a spade.
That by saying No, I'm just saying that, in this country we have this habit of jumping to conclusions. I know that Vijay Mallya is paying a very hefty price for being a flamboyant person whose lifestyle basically has made everybody very mad. But I think that's not the way we judge a business failure. I think we need to get more facts. I don't have the data. I am responding to what data I have in the public domain.
So I will tell you what data is available.
Right now is only about perception.
The data is available.
The fraud data that is actually being shared with the public.
So I will get you the data, but before that, this moment, the tweets that you have put out, it begs the question, what triggered this at this point of time? Mallya has been, sort of cornered and there is a public outrage against him. I agree to you, a lot of it is perception, but having said that, there is data substantiating some of these claims, but I'll come to that later. I want you to answer what triggered this defense today.
I don't know what data you're talking about, but so far the data that I've seen is all about allegations that, and because he has a flamboyant lifestyle, he has probably diverted funds to...
No, ma'am. So for example, there are stark findings about the 950 crore rupee loan that IDBI Bank gave to Kingfisher, and thereafter that the fact that is not being disputed so far is that the money was rerouted to pay other loans, the money was rerouted outside the country, and to what extent? Because at the end use of that loan was specified.
I just want to understand one thing, okay? I'm not getting into technicalities. I am trying to say
we call it facts.
Committed? Was that money diverted for personal use? That's all I am.
So that is the point that is being investigated right now.
If so far there's no evidence to show that it was used for personal reasons, then all I'm saying is, look, the way I look at it, just listen to me for 2 minutes. My view is, today we are a country that basically needs to look at how do we rev up the economy, how do we make sure that business failure is recognized earlier on rather than later on. How do we make sure that banks don't lose their risk appetite? Because if every bank manager today is going to be very fearful of lending any amount of money on the concern that, this business might fail, I think we will not see any economic revival. So I am saying, my tweets were really saying that, okay, you cannot mix up other parts of his businesses with Kingfisher Airlines. I feel he has been a very successful entrepreneur in other parts
So,
of the
Ms.
business.
Shaw,
But
are you
yes,
saying that the bankers being arrested at this point of time is what is giving you the chills, saying that this will affect the lending, this will affect key decision making? We are working on, we have put out a lot of other stories where struggling companies, the banks are struggling to take a decision, and particularly after this IDBI arrest, there seems to be a larger risk aversion.
Yes.
Is that your concern?
Yes.
If that,
I am definitely concerned about that, because I think, you are going to find that banks will not be willing to give any kind of loans if the balance sheets are not impeccable. Now, I'm saying that is a very big risk we are taking for this country. I'm not just talking about Vijay Mallya. I'm talking about in general. Okay? I think we need to be very pragmatic about what we consider as a business failure and what we consider as a fraud.
How
If
serious,
Vijay Mallya had
ma'am,
committed a
how
fraud,
serious do
I
you
will
think
never
are
defend it.
charges of corporate governance over here? Saying that you are looking at this at a broader level, not particularly at Mallya, even if that was so, how serious do you think this issue is around corporate governance and in terms of the kind of lending that banks have been doing in the past, which is why we're in the kind of mess that we're in? Doesn't that need to be corrected if India needs to go back on the economic growth path? Then why are you disputing the charges already? Because they are already getting investigated. The information may not be absolute 100%, but it is getting investigated.
Answer your question, or are you going to just
Please go on, ma'am. Please go on.
I am saying to you that, look, I think we need good governance at all costs, okay? But this good governance has to be practiced across the board, okay? I also believe that definitely we need a structure and a governance structure where banks are not going to be vilified for lending, but at the same time, I think banks do need to make sure that they take correct judgment calls. Just like companies make bad judgment calls or good judgment calls, I think we have to look at the merit of those judgment calls. You cannot vilify either the banks or the entrepreneur for bad judgment calls. That's all I'm saying.
To tell you that yes, you are
Because
telling us that
you
we are.
cannot have any entrepreneurial activity in this country.
If we in the media are guilty of making a judgment call, you are also making a judgment call here that he is not guilty.
Hello, 1 minute. Today, there are a lot of startup companies where lots of people are investing a lot of money. Banks are investing, VCs are investing, and some of these startups are going to fail miserably because maybe their judgment call is bad. Are you going to then vilify the VC fund manager?
If the shareholders aren't paid, if the employees aren't paid, if the banks, and more importantly, if the promoters are not willing to face the law, instead run away and sit in London, I mean, there will be questions that will be raised, and those questions will have to be answered. And to your point, there are 2 points that I want to raise. I want to respond to what you're saying. One is, if we are guilty of making a judgment that he's in fact, Mallya is a fugitive, but it's not a judgment, and you are also making a judgment saying that he is not. But at the end of the day,
I never said he's
but
not.
What you have to concede is that some of the facts that we are putting out we are not digging up these facts. These facts,
not a fugitive.
Okay, okay, not a fugitive. Fine, he is not guilty. It's a bad business decision.
No, I never even said whether he's guilty or not guilty. All I said was, please prove that he is guilty. Please prove that he has committed fraud. Then you can vilify him. But right now, what I'm saying is, I'm making a general comment. I said, look, do we have the right governance structure and the processes to deal with bankruptcies? That's all I'm saying. If his is a business failure and a bankruptcy, are we in a position to even settle this bankruptcy issue, is what I'm asking.
But what is stopping him from being here, and if he is indeed
because he is not even being allowed to settle the case. I know that he has made several efforts to basically say, can we settle, but nobody is going to settle 100 cents to the dollar in a business failure.
So, ma'am, SEBI has in fact come here and raised some very important questions, and those are in the realm of the investigation that is going on right now. It's not just a question of Kingfisher; it's also a question of United Spirits, the United Brewery Group. You yourself have been on the board of those companies. You could shed some light on the questions that SEBI has raised. What about the payments? How could he get that $75 million sweetheart deal when shareholders are being, sort of shortchanged? What would be a response to that?
No, I cannot comment on that because I have no knowledge of how the transaction was agreed to. I'm not even aware of all the United Spirits deals, so I don't want to make any comment.
Secrecy. there is that the problem is here that there are so many unanswered questions.
Yeah, but you know something, in this country we don't have enough facts and data, and we all want to pontificate and opine, and that's what
No, so we are not pontificating, we are raising questions.
Why can't we get good data? I want to see the right data. If any of the investigating agencies were to actually share data that basically implicates him of having committed absolute fraud, I will never defend.
Yeah. So, but you have said, I mean, this is the point that I was raising to you in a conversation before you came live on our channel. Your lines do not give out when you say KFA was a business failure. There is an inherent judgment in there that he's not guilty.
I'm sorry, I still maintain that Kingfisher Airlines was a miserable business failure. Okay?
Yes, yeah.
I will never get away from that. It is a business failure. And it was a case of an entrepreneur who was trying to save it at all costs, not realizing that he was never going to be able to save it. And it was going down, 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 and he was still trying to raise the sinking ship from the bed of the sea.
Ms. Shaw, we in the media are used to, it doesn't really, we grow a thick skin. It doesn't bother us that you call us, we are vilifying him. What is your take on the investigating agencies who are conducting this probe? Are those intentions malified? Well, I mean, at the timing of your tweets and the nature of them raises these questions. Are there questions on the investigating?
Can I answer, or are you going to have a monologue?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we have given you the adequate.
No, I'm sorry, you are not allowing me to say what I want to.
Yeah.
I am saying to you that I believe that Kingfisher Airlines was a miserable business failure. It was a case of an entrepreneur who was in denial. It was a case of an entrepreneur or a businessman who did not want to give up. He has tried to rescue that business at all costs. He has failed miserably. Okay? I am not even saying whether you should not investigate or should investigate. Please investigate. By all means, investigate everything. And I'm not saying whether it is bona fide or malified to investigate, for God's sake. All I'm saying is whatever is being investigated, if there is any signs of fraud or, this intent to commit fraud, then please share it in the public domain and then vilify such people.
So how do the banks recover the loans if he's sitting in UK? If you are saying please go ahead and investigate, we can if he has a case to present.
Understand one thing. He was willing to settle with the banks. He has come forward saying, please let's sit across the table.
Ma'am, those proposals were,
but nobody is willing to settle.
Those proposals were struck down by the Supreme Court. Nothing less than the Supreme Court, because there was an inherent flaw in the proposals that were made.
That is not correct information. Supreme Court has not struck it down as yet.
Supreme Court, the banks went to the Supreme Court seeking recovery of the loans. Vijay Mallya was asked to make proposals. He made at least 3 proposals, if I remember right. Each one of them, the banks refused, and the Supreme Court said, come up with another one.
What can we do? If they want to...
If there is 9,000 crores, 9,000 crores of dues only to banks...
But is it 9,000 crores? See, every number is wrong. So somebody says it is 4,000, somebody says it's 6,000, somebody says it's now 9,000, now you say it's 20,000. What are we supposed to believe?
No, 7,000 crores is admitted as a distinct principal amount with interest dues and everything.
No. The principal amount has been admitted at 4,000 crores. Please, get your facts straight.
No. I'll tell you what. There is a 2,500 crore amount, the pledge shares which Mallya accounts for as having been repaid, which the banks don't admit because the value of them have gone down. Now, anyway, the point is that we are not really, at this point of time, the question is the moral culpability of Vijay Mallya.
Baba, let's get into, I'm not even discussing all these issues. I just want to make a statement on the business aspect, okay? I am saying that if you want to recover anything from Vijay Mallya, please work out a settlement, measure that will allow the banks and him to settle. According to me, that's the best outcome that you can get.